To Ivory Coast now, world cocoa prices spiked near 30-year highs after Ivory Coast president-elect called for a one-month ban on cocoa exports. But as VOA West Africa correspondent Stearns reports, the country's incumbent government, led by Laurent Gbagbo, says there will be no disruption in cocoa production.
Much of Ivory Coast's current cocoa harvest has already reached international markets. But as the world's largest grower, any threat to production has an impact on global prices, especially as the U.S. agricultural firm Cargill, which usually buys about 15% of Ivorian beans, announced that it would suspend purchases in keeping with the ban called by the internationally recognized winner of the vote, former Prime Minister Alassane Ouattara. The incumbent government of Laurent Gbagbo says Mr. Ouattara has no authority over cocoa exports and met with business leaders to reassure them that there will be no disruptions. Gilbert Ano is the president of Ivory Coast's cocoa cooperative.
We have a president who was elected and who was inaugurated and who named a government. This government is at work, so no one else can send us a letter saying do this, that, or the other.
Ano encouraged exporters to ignore Mr. Ouattara's ban because it will cost them dearly.
If you have around 300,000 tons of cocoa, that makes around $900 million. How are you exporters going to recuperate $900 million if you don't continue to export?
Mr. Gbagbo's Minister of Economy and Finance, Desiree Dallo, says it's business as usual in Ivory Coast.
The computer system is operating. The management committee of the Ivorian cocoa and coffee body is working. The employees are carrying on with their operations as usual. So we would like to reassure the Cocoa Business Federation that everything is okay in Ivory Coast.
But everything is not okay in Ivory Coast's petroleum sector after the European Union froze the assets of the state oil firm, along with its main energy utility and cocoa ports, because European leaders say those firms are helping to fund what they call Mr. Gbagbo's illegitimate government. Fadika Kassoum is the director of the state oil firm Petrosi.
We have to admit that if the sanctions have repercussions at the end of 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, what will happen? Everything will disintegrate because we won't last. We must be realistic. We will not be able to pay salaries or pay our suppliers.
Kassoum says EU sanctions will affect both the 40,000 barrel a day oil sector and Ivory Coast's 80,000 barrel per day refinery.
We cannot earn money when sanctions stop us from spending as our budgets dictate, so we are exposed to a slow but certain disintegration.
As Ivory Coast's rival presidents take their fight to the economy, regional leaders say they're still considering military force to remove Mr. Gbagbo. Nigeria's foreign minister says that force deserves the unequivocal international support of the UN Security Council. But that's unlikely, as Russia opposes force against Mr. Gbagbo and can veto any resolution. Stearns, VOA News, Dakar.